Have you ever experienced anxiety that feels overwhelming, or you're simply struggling to be successful? Today we're talking about self-limiting beliefs on this episode of Coffee with Tea. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Tea. I am your host, Tanya Tyler, and I'm excited because we're going to be talking about self-limiting beliefs. So without really getting into the details, I want to welcome our first guest today, Miss Judy Kane. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on. We connected right away when we had a networking call because I always love when people talk about self-limiting beliefs and stuff like that. So without us really diving too much into that subject, I always like to allow people the opportunity to tell a little bit about who they are. You know, tell us a little bit about what you do and who you are. And, you know, how has how has COVID, the reopening, really helped you or shaped how you do business nowadays? So the floor is yours, my Miss Judy.
All right, great. Well, yeah, I'm Judy Kane, and my business is called Aligned Consciousness. And I help people rewrite subconscious self-limiting beliefs. And a lot of times people don't understand what those beliefs do or, you know, how they're playing out in their lives. But if you see things that are making you uncomfortable on a regular basis, like some people feel stressed out when they think about writing checks, or some people are working really hard for their goals and it's just not happening, even though they are putting all the energy and attention into it. Or maybe they're making just enough money, but never more. Or even physical symptoms of stress or patterns of unhealthy relationships. All those things can be caused by subconscious beliefs and you don't even know what they are. And right. They usually are mostly there by the time you're 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So Miss Judy, you know, I know this is a really, it's a deep dive kind of subject and stuff like that, but you know, before we really dive into like, how can you determine what's limiting you? Because like I said, you touched on like what's symptoms, I guess the symptoms of limiting belief. Right. So how did you really, what got you into this subject? What really made you take a deeper dive? I mean, everybody has some kind of a story. So, you know, right. what took you over the edge, I guess, to figure out what is this?
It was an unlikely journey, I think. Most of my life, I worked in information technology. And I didn't have much exposure to anything that would be considered alternative or holistic types of modalities. But when was it? About 2009, I saw somebody use the process I use with my former husband. And it was, he had a physical ache and they used this and the physical pain went away. And I was astounded that there could be that much of a connection between the mind and the body, right? Because they just changed a belief. And then all of a sudden the thing that hurt him didn't hurt anymore. And I was watching while this happened, and it wasn't sensing energy or interpreting messages or anything. It was a process. It was something I could see I could do without any special gifts, if you will. So as soon as I could find a workshop, I signed up to figure out how to learn how to do this myself, because it's really useful. If you've got things that are getting in your way, it's really nice to be able to change them.
Right. I mean, I'm kind of like trying to like wrap my head around it, and it's because I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm frustrated with this," or "I'm frustrated with that," and I'm like, "Well, those are some clues that maybe you might want to take a deeper dive." So, right. What is some of the advice for people who are like, I'm ready to just make a change, but I don't know how to start? Where would you be like? What would be your opening advice to them, really without going heavy?
Right. All right. So one of the things I've found working with clients is they know what they don't like about what's going on, but they haven't spent a whole lot of time thinking about what they really do want in detail. And so the first thing I would advise people to do is if there's an area of their life that's not playing out the way they would choose, to take some time and think about what do they really want it to look like. I know a lot, and to think about what it means, because a lot of times I work with people who they come because they want their business to be more successful. And so what they say is, I want to make more money, right? Well, but that's not it. It's, the money gives them an emotion, right? They want the money for a reason. It's not just because they want a certain number of digits in their balance or the pile of paper under their mattress to be bigger, right? I mean, it's that money makes them feel a certain way. So to start thinking about what is it that the thing represents to them? What's the feeling they're going to get when this is true? And then start looking for ways to get that feeling.
Right.
Yeah. And what I find with people, a lot of times, if they start telling themselves, well, that's just the way I am, or everybody in my family's like this, or, all those things that are kind of like giving up types of just resignation types of things, that's usually because their subconscious is getting in their way, right? They don't have to be like that. They don't have to suffer that thing, whatever it is. They can change it.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a question, and it was just coming up as you were speaking, because it's like, where a lot of people are on the self journey, and there's a lot of coaches who want to make a difference. What would your advice be for those who are coming across people who have, like, if you cross that line, like you can pick up on that language, and you're coming across somebody who hasn't? How do you have that conversation when you're not trying to force somebody to see your way? You know what I'm saying? It's like people are not always there on that journey, and there are people who want to help them. So it's like, how do you help people who want to help others? Are they pushing them away, or what I'm trying to say?
Well, I do work with, I have relationships with coaches that a lot of times, because I don't do behavior or strategy or accountability, I don't do any of that stuff. I just do the subconscious beliefs. And so a lot of times I work with coaches, they will send their client to me. They've figured out where the blocks are, and they'll send the client to me to help change the beliefs. And then the client can go back into the coach's program and be more successful later. So that's one way I can help people. But you got to be careful. You might see where somebody you think would be happier if they change something, but that person needs to want to change that thing. Right? I don't work with people to give them a belief that they don't want. It's like they have to figure out what they want, and I help with the change process.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was like trying to say, because like I said, and like I said, intentionally, everybody wants to help somebody. That's what I'm trying to say. There are people who are not like trying to be coaches, but they hear things and they're picking up. It's like, ooh, that's your self-conscious belief. So it's like, how can you help those who want to help those who have not had like the training? That's what I'm trying to say. Do you just tell them gradually, let people come to their own, just like you did? I mean, that's what I'm trying to think. What's a friendly advice of like, don't push them if they're not ready?
This is something I had to learn, or once I learned how to do this process, which is called PSYCH-K. My biggest challenge was not pointing out to everybody I met where their self-limiting belief was in their conversation, right? I mean, it's like people don't want to hear it. They don't want the unsolicited advice. It's only people who want to change something that are going to be open to change, probably. I mean, you might gently point something out or question, is that really true? Occasionally with somebody, but I have found it's not really productive to go around and point out everybody else's limiting beliefs. Yeah.
Right. That's what I want to say. How we want to help those who want to help those, but like, oh, you're listening to what you're saying, but they're just taking it too far and they're resisting. So I just wanted to ask, person who does this on a regular basis, what would you say?
Right.
So thank you for your insight on that.
Sure.
So I want to, this is the part I want to remind everybody that Miss Judy has been dropping gems. And if you've been picking up, please give us a thumbs up, maybe leave a comment below so we can follow up with her. And we're going to dive a little bit more into she shared with me she has a book coming up. So tell us a little bit about what you've been working on, and maybe how you can help people moving forward as we get ready to wrap up. Well, by the time this airs, it'll be 2022. So tell us, like, what do you have working on, and then we could dive more into where people can find you and all that kind of stuff. So what have you been working on, Miss Judy?
So, well, the book came out, since this is coming out, since this will be aired in 2022, the book came out in November. And the book is called Your 4 Truths. And it's based on what I've seen with clients and myself and friends and other people that have shared stories with me about some of the main areas where people are impacted with their subconscious beliefs, some of the broad areas that are really common. And the first one is about feeling safe. And it's not just physically safe. It could be financially safe or emotionally safe, but safety issues, right? That keep us from doing so much in our lives. It affects our choices and how well we think we're going to do once we make the choices. And it can give us, all these things I'm going to be talking about, just add stress to our life, which is not healthy and not fun, right? I mean, who wants to be stressed out? So the first area is about being safe. The second area is about feeling worthy. And that's both, thinking of yourself as having value and knowing that other people hold you in value. And the third area is knowing that you're lovable, because, if you know that you're lovable for yourself instead of for the person that you're pretending to be, because you think that's the only person that can be loved, I mean, there's a big difference there. And knowing that you're connected to something bigger than yourself, because isolation is not a good thing. So the book goes into how these can show up in your life. And the big message is you can change these things. If you recognize these patterns, you don't have to just say, well, that's just the way my life is. You can do something about it. And there are lots of ways to make the changes. And the other thing to know is that when you've got those stressors in your life, they cause physical symptoms. And so a lot of people just accept an immobility thing, or a pattern of headaches, or aches and pains because they've reached a certain age. None of those need to be accepted. They're caused by beliefs. If they're stress related, they're caused by beliefs. And if you change the beliefs, the stress will go away. So that's what the book is about. And it's available in all the places.
Right. We will definitely have the link posted down below so you can actually check out and follow up and purchase the book. Now, we're wrapping down to, we got a few more minutes and stuff before we wrap up the interview. So what's the one overarching message that you want people to take away? Like I said, this is an introduction, so we're not solving anything all in 20 minutes and stuff like that. But right, what's the one thing that you wish people would take away from your message today, or their self-limiting beliefs? What's the one thing you want them to understand today?
If they're not happy with the way their life is working out for them, they can make changes to have an impact on that. They don't just need to accept it and be resigned to a boring, stuck, painful, frustrating, whatever the problem is type of life. They can do something to change it.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you with all the gems that you had shared with us, Miss Judy. So where can people find more information about you, your services, and all the great work that you're doing?
My website is Aligned Consciousness, which will have a link below. And there's all sorts of information about how this can make a difference in your life, what it is I do, how to book a call if you've got questions. I have free 15-minute calls for people if they want to know more about the details. Or you can book sessions there too. And there's also links there for the book. And like I say, that's going to be available in all the places. So lots of information there.
Well, thank you, Miss Judy. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your insight and everything. I'm wishing you continued success, especially with your book launch and stuff like that.
Thank you.
And I want to also thank everybody who tuned in. Remember that feedback is always welcome. Links that Judy mentioned will be posted in the description box. So please make sure you check it out there down below. And if you've enjoyed what Judy has shared, please give us a thumbs up. And if you want to continue getting all the insight like what Miss Judy has shared today, please hit that subscribe button over there. And remember, take things in stride, go with the flow, and create your own path. Because we'll see you back here on another episode of Coffee with Tea. All right. Bye-bye.